Do we have enough light? Is the light good?
Yeah, it's good.
And you're getting both of us?
Maybe I
Yes.
should put my glasses on so that they're just
I'm gonna
on.
do this.
Yes, okay.
Okay, how does
Hanging
that?
out on
How
the
is that?
couch.
Looks good.
Casual. Real casual.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Ugh. All right. You can hit it any time. Wait a minute. So 5 minutes. Okay, I got it. Ready?
Yeah, we're going.
Okay. Well, I'm here with Kirsten Gallagher. Hi, Kirsten.
Hi, Al.
We have a poem, a prose poem by Lyndon called The Mind. And I'll read it and we'll talk about it for 5 minutes. Okay. The mind is a hotel with 1,000 rooms. When I tilt my head a certain way, I think about certain things. When I tilt my head another way, I think about other things. If I sleep on the right side of my face, for example, I dream of a pale rose, the future, or a continental diner in Passaic, New Jersey. When I sleep on the left side of my face, I dream that a hand is squeezing my heart, that I'm in prison, or that I'm watching hockey at an airport bar, about to miss a flight. Now, you and I know Lyndon's poetry. We know Lyndon.
Yeah.
What's characteristic about this?
That it's funny. It's got like a surrealist feeling to me. I always feel like Lynn is really good at bringing several areas of knowledge or language together and kind of enmeshing them with each other to great comedic effect. Yeah, that's what I feel like's going on here.
So, and I agree, it's very comic and very characteristic and playful.
Yeah.
What's he saying? So comedy aside, what's he saying about the mind?
Yeah, that's what's one of the things that's interesting here. It's very spatialized. So it's almost like a pinball game platform, and however you move your head, the ball just rolls into a quadrant and triggers other things to happen.
So the mind is like a pinball machine, but this one says a mind is like a hotel with 1,000 rooms.
Right.
Even though it doesn't pick up on that, that's a very suggestive way to start. What's he mean by that?
Well, 1,000 rooms, I mean, that's a lot. You know, there's a lot of possibilities in the mind. It's almost endless, you know. I almost take the 1,000 rooms not to even mean literally 1,000, but this suggesting endlessness or something, right?
It's kind of like a lot of ways to look at the world, a lot of ways to be in a place, a lot of ways to situate yourself. I love this idea that I tilt my head a certain way. I mean, I think we associate that idiom, tilting your head, as getting a new perspective on something, right?
Yeah. Reminds me of I Dwell in Possibility a little.
Dickinson,
Right.
Yeah. So what is this stuff about how if he sleeps a certain way, he dreams of certain things?
Yeah, that's where I was getting the pinball part, because I feel like it feels very spatializing to me.
Yeah.
That it's taking something about the fact that, you know, if we look at the way the brain is studied by, neurobiologists, you get these pictures of the brain. This area does this thing, this area does that thing. I notice this when I teach a lot, that when I try to talk about things like thinking or memory or image with students, if they're in a psychology class where they've just learned that, memory's in the hippocampus, they literally will say, "No, professor, that's in the hippocampus," that there's this literalization of where different kinds of thoughts and actions happen.
Yeah.
This feels like it's the joke send-up of that idea, right? That if I tilt my head a certain way, thoughts go to a certain theme or a certain kind of feeling.
Right.
It seems pretty randomized and surrealist what the mind turns to, and the idea that it turns in this way, just by tilt. That's silly, but also I don't know. I think it's it seems like it's also playing with crude ideas about how thought happens, because it's obviously more complex than this.
Yeah, but at the same time, it is complex. The somatic stimulus of dreams, or for that matter, poems, because this poem reproduces what he might dream if he did a certain thing with his body. Right? So you get sleeping on the right side of his face, you get 3. Pale Rose, classic poem.
Right.
future, or a diner in Passaic. Sleep on the
Yeah.
left side, you get 3 more things. Squeezing, now this gets pretty intense.
Mhm.
Squeezing my heart, a hand squeezing my heart, which kind of is a way before a heart attack you feel. So yeah, there's that. Or prison, or something very transitional and liminal and modern, which is watching hockey at an airport about to miss a flight.
Right.
One gets a sense that that's in fact where this poem was written.
Perhaps.
Sitting and waiting
right.
for a flight.
Maybe.
So it's kind of like one of those it's a meta poem in the sense that he's saying, doesn't really take much for me to be generative enough to put some things down and create some poems.
Yeah, I don't think that's this feels to me like somebody who's definitely playing with structures for how to create poems. I mean, that's why it immediately makes me think of surrealism, because it's like, okay, I'm going to have this idea, but I'm going to plug ridiculous things into it that at a level of detail that make it kind of funny.
Yeah.
Right, like the surrealist game Directions for Use, where you take benign directions for how to use some object or take your medication or something, and then you take something philosophical or religious and plug that language into it, and it ends up being funny and also revealing about things. So it feels like kind of a meta poem in that way, because it's mixing language and mixing ideas in this way, but then also I think, the way that I don't know, it's playing with the idea that the brain just kind of randomly coughs stuff up, or all these different kinds of images or ideas are possible there depending on kind of where the pinball hits.
Yeah. Well, we're going to run out of time. Say one more thing about why you like Lyndon's poetry, why this is a good instance of what you like about it.
I think, so I've had experiences with students really liking his work, and I think that there's something refreshing about the feeling of clarity in the language always, but that there's still this absurdity and intellectual play that's in there, that I think is very pleasing for students who want something different, and they want something, maybe they like the difficult, but maybe it's refreshing after a week of Gertrude Stein to look at something by Lyndon and feel like I can handle this, I know what to do. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. It's like Steinian with a little closure, a little punchy closure. I mean, he is playing with the power of the imagination.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you get this sense that everything can be a story about doing something very, very trivial.
Right.
And then of course this lovely idea that you can get into something that's not that important and actually miss your flight.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Well, Kirsten, thank you so much for hanging out with Lyndon's
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
yes.